Why do the calmest minds always see the clearest path forward? Master this one trait and your focus, power, and clarity will change forever. Have you ever felt like your mind is running faster than your life? Like there's a war happening inside you while the world expects you to keep smiling, keep showing up, keep performing. Most people walk around like that, tired, but pretending they're fine. Busy, but getting nowhere. Thinking too much, but not clearly. Their thoughts are loud, their hearts are anxious, and their energy drained. Here's the truth that very few people realize: it's not more effort that makes you powerful. It's not more noise that makes you heard. It's not more thinking that brings clarity. It's calmness. The calmer you are, the more power you hold. The quieter your mind, the sharper it becomes. The more peace you create within, the clearer you see everything outside. But very few people know how to do that, because we live in a world that rewards noise. A world that praises the loudest voice in the room. A world that says, hustle harder, move faster, stay busy, and slowly. We forget how to just breathe. But what if you could master the one skill that sets you apart from the rest? What if you could stay calm while everyone else loses control? What if your peace could become your power? Stay with this message until the very end. Because if you do, you'll understand how to gain control over your thoughts, your reactions, and your entire life. You'll discover a strength most people never tap into. And once you do, you'll never be the same again. Let's go deeper. Chaos is loud. It lives in your mind when you overthink. It shows up in your chest when you're nervous. It controls your decisions when you react from fear. And it grows when you believe that pressure is normal. But here's what human psychology reveals. The mind does not think clearly when it's under threat. The nervous system becomes hijacked. Logic shuts down. The emotional brain takes over. And that's when people panic, say things they regret, make poor decisions, and lose sight of their values. Now, imagine a person who doesn't react like that. Someone who stands in the middle of pressure and still chooses peace. That person becomes powerful, not because they know everything, but because they're calm enough to see clearly. Calmness isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about having a stable foundation inside you. It's the ability to slow down your inner world, even when the outer world speeds up. And once you learn how to do that, your entire life starts to change. You begin to move differently. You stop rushing into things. You listen more than you speak. You understand before you judge. You lead yourself before you lead others. And guess what? People notice. They notice your energy. They notice how you don't overreact. They feel safe around your calm because deep down, everyone wants that kind of peace. But here's the catch. Calmness doesn't happen by accident. It's not something you're born with. It's something you train just like a muscle. You train your mind to slow down. You train your breath to stay steady. You train your focus to stay present. And once you start training your calm, life starts to shift. Suddenly, problems don't feel as heavy. People's opinions don't shake you. Fear doesn't stop you. And noise doesn't distract you. You become intentional, focused, clear, sharp. Not because you're trying harder, but because your mind is finally working for you, not against you. So ask yourself, how much of your energy is being wasted on noise? How much of your time is spent reacting instead of thinking? And how much more could you achieve if your mind became still enough to see what really matters? The calm mind is not a passive mind. It's a dangerous one because it sees what others miss. It plans while others panic. It waits while others rush. And when it moves with purpose. Stay with this journey until the very end, because the truth is simple. The calmer you are, the sharper you become. And the sharper you become, the clearer your life gets. This is how you unlock focus, power, and control. This is how you rise, not by being louder, but by being calmer. Most people don't realize how much noise they carry inside. From the moment they wake up, the mind starts racing. Thoughts, worries, regrets, fears, it never stops. Even in silence, the noise continues. And that noise is what makes life feel heavier than it is. You can't think clearly when your mind is spinning. You can't feel peace when your heart is in a constant fight or flight mode. This is the storm within, and it's the reason so many people feel lost, overwhelmed, and drained. We're taught to solve everything on the outside, fix the job, change the relationship, chase the next goal. But the real battle is happening inside. If your mind is not calm, it doesn't matter how perfect your life looks. You'll still feel like something's wrong. That storm inside is built by years of pressure, people telling you to be more, do more, prove more. It's built by failure, shame, rejection, and fear. And over time, the noise becomes your normal. You forget what stillness feels like. You forget what it's like to just exist without the chaos pulling at you. But here's something most never learn. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. And when you stop attaching to every thought, when you stop fighting the storm and start watching it, that's when power returns to you. You don't have to chase peace. You just have to remove what's blocking it. The pressure to be perfect, the fear of judgment, the need to control everything. Calmness starts when you stop feeding the storm. It begins when you decide that inner peace is more valuable than constant thinking. And once you choose that, the storm loses its grip, because the storm within only controls you when you forget who you are without it. But once you remember, once you reclaim that silence, everything begins to change. Calmness is powerful, but it's rare. And not because it's impossible, but because the world teaches the opposite. From a young age, you're told to speak louder, move faster, prove yourself constantly. You're rewarded for being busy, not balanced. You're praised for reacting quickly, not thinking clearly. In this noise-riven world, calmness looks like weakness. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Calmness isn't the absence of strength. It's the proof of it. It's easy to react, easy to yell, panic, or rush. But it takes real power to stay still when everything around you is pushing for reaction. People misunderstand calmness because they don't know what it really means. They think it's being passive, emotionless, or slow. But calmness is something else. It's deep awareness. It's control over chaos. It's discipline of the mind and emotions. And most people are afraid of that discipline. They don't want to face their thoughts. They don't want to sit in silence because when there's no noise, the truth shows up. The truth about what they feel. The truth about who they are. So instead, they keep moving, keep talking, keep running from themselves. They choose distraction over depth. But those who rise above don't run from calmness. They run toward it. They understand that in a world full of noise, silence is power. They know that stillness is where clarity lives. They learn to stop reacting and start observing. They stop chasing and start building. And that shift, that quiet shift, is what separates the average from the extraordinary. That's why calmness is rare. Not because few can have it, but because few are willing to choose it. But once you do, you stand out without trying. You lead without shouting. You win without rushing. Because calm minds don't compete, they create. Stillness is more than silence. It's not just about being quiet on the outside. It's about finding peace on the inside. In stillness, you don't escape life. You face it with clarity. You see things others miss. You feel emotions without being ruled by them. You think deeply instead of reacting quickly. This is where real power begins. The human brain is not designed to stay in constant chaos. When the mind is always in motion, it burns out. It gets stuck in fear, in doubt, in confusion. But when you create stillness, the brain recovers. It starts solving problems instead of spinning around them. It starts creating instead of complaining. Stillness is the space between action and reaction. It's the pause that gives you perspective. It's the breath you take before you speak. It's the calm before a powerful decision. In that still space, your intuition speaks. You begin to hear what your mind had been drowning out. Truth, purpose, direction. It's all there, waiting in the silence. But most people never access it because they're too loud inside. They fear the silence. They think stillness means weakness. But in reality, it takes more strength to sit with your emotions than it does to run from them. Psychology proves this too. Stillness activates the parts of the brain linked to focus and decision M. It resets your nervous system. It helps regulate your emotions. It builds resilience. So when you train yourself to become still, you're not becoming slower. You're becoming sharper. You're not giving up. You're gaining control. Stillness is a choice. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing at the right time with a clear mind. And in a world that rewards chaos, choosing stillness is an act of power. A calm mind isn't an empty mind. It's a focused one. And when your mind is focused, it becomes sharp like a blade that's been cleaned, cleared, and prepared, ready to cut through confusion, noise, and fear. Calmness clears the fog. It removes the emotional dust that blinds your thinking. Because when you're angry, scared, or stressed, you don't think better. You just react faster. But faster doesn't mean smarter. Real intelligence isn't loud. It's quiet, clear, and steady. It comes from the ability to pause and choose your next move. That pause, that's where power lives. When you stay calm, your brain shifts into clarity mode. You don't get pulled into drama. You don't fall into traps. You don't speak just to be heard. You speak to make impact. Calmness trains the mind to observe before acting, to wait before responding, to reflect before deciding. And that reflection is what separates success from regret. Think about how many mistakes people make in a state of panic. How many words are said in anger? How many choices are made out of fear? Now think of the damage that could be avoided if calmness had been the first step. Your mind was never meant to run wild all the time. It was meant to serve you, not control you. And when you slow it down, you sharpen it. You start seeing patterns. You start solving problems. You start noticing what others ignore. Calm people make fewer mistakes because they're not rushing. They're not reacting to every emotion. They're thinking with precision. That's what makes calmness a weapon. It doesn't look aggressive, but it wins battles others don't even see coming. Sharpen your mind through calmness, and you'll stop being a slave to pressure. You'll become the master of your focus. And once your focus is sharp, nothing can distract you from your path. When emotions take over, logic disappears. Anger speaks before thinking. Fear runs before understanding. Sadness stops before trying. This is where most people lose control, not in their circumstances, but in their emotions. And without control, life becomes reactive. You're no longer choosing your path. You're just responding to pain, fear, and pressure. But calmness changes that. Calmness is emotional intelligence in motion. It doesn't mean you feel less. It means you understand more. You start noticing what you feel without being ruled by it. You begin to observe your anger without exploding. You feel fear, but don't let it decide for you. You carry sadness, but don't let it stop you. That's real power. Human psychology proves it. When your mind is calm, your emotional system becomes balanced. The brain's stress centers quiet down. Your breathing slows. Your heart rate stabilizes. And in that state, your decisions become clearer, stronger, and smarter. This isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about managing them. Not every emotion deserves your energy. Not every feeling deserves your reaction. Calmness teaches you to choose what to respond to and what to release. The calm person doesn't shout to prove their point. They know that loud reactions often come from inner chaos. Instead, they move with silence and certainty. They've trained themselves to stay grounded when others are triggered. And that's why they lead not through force, but through presence. When you control your emotions, you take your power back. You stop being pushed around by moods. You stop letting pain define your choices. You stop allowing fear to set your limits. That's what calmness gives you. Control over the only thing that truly matters, yourself. And once you gain that, there's nothing more powerful than a person who feels everything but chooses their response. True strength isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't chase attention. It stands quietly, unshaken, unbothered, unbreakable. That kind of strength doesn't come from the gym. It doesn't come from titles or trophies. It comes from within. From learning how to stay calm when everything around you tries to break you. Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Storms will come. But calmness is what keeps you standing when everything else shakes. It's easy to be strong when things go right. But your real power shows when they don't. When the pressure rises and you don't crack. When the insults come and you don't react. When fear knocks and you don't run. That's inner strength. The kind that can't be taken away. The kind that doesn't depend on approval, applause, or outcomes. And here's what most people don't realize. Calmness is a skill. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build day by choosing not to react, by learning to breathe through discomfort, by staying still when the world pulls at you. Psychology tells us that resilience isn't about never falling. It's about rising with a wiser, calmer mind each time you do. Because every time you choose calmness over chaos, you grow stronger. Your nervous system learns to regulate. Your mind learns to focus. Your emotions learn to trust you. Calmness is your anchor. It keeps you from drowning in doubt. It reminds you who you are when life tries to confuse you. And once you build that calm, you stop fearing storms because you know you've become the storm's calm center. That's what makes you powerful. Not just that you survived, but that you did it with grace, focus, and a quiet strength that nobody saw coming. When you're constantly in motion, it's hard to see clearly. Your thoughts blur, your focus scatters, and you begin to lose sight of what truly matters. The more you rush, the more you miss. The more you react, the more confusion piles up. And the more noise you let in, the harder it becomes to make sense of anything. But calmness clears the fog. When you stop, breathe, and quiet your mind, clarity comes. In that stillness, everything slows down. Your thoughts become sharper. Your vision becomes clearer, and you begin to see the truth that was always there, waiting to be noticed. This is how calmness works on the mind. It resets your focus. It removes distractions. It helps you see what's real, not what's imagined. It allows you to hear the answers that have always been within you. People often think clarity is a gift only a few get. But the truth is, clarity is earned. It's earned through stillness, through patience, and through the courage to silence the noise. And the more you practice calmness, the more natural clarity becomes. Once your mind becomes clear, you stop chasing answers in the wrong places. You start trusting your instincts. You stop second-guessing yourself, and you begin to act with confidence because you know you've seen the truth. Psychologically, when you remove the mental clutter, your brain can process information better. You make decisions faster and with more certainty. You stop doubting your path because you've learned to see it clearly. This is the power of calmness. It gives you clarity. And once you have clarity, the path ahead becomes obvious. You stop asking what if and start asking what's next. Calmness doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you think better. And once you think better, you start living better. Your life becomes more aligned with your true self, and you begin to make decisions that reflect who you really are. The decisions you make shape your life. Every choice, no matter how small, has a ripple effect. And the quality of your decisions determines the quality of your life. But how many times do people make decisions out of fear, stress, or impulse? How many choices are rushed in moments of anxiety only to regret them later? When emotions run high, decision-making becomes clouded. You stop thinking logically. You act based on the heat of the moment, not the clarity of your mind. Calmness changes that. When you choose calmness, you slow down your decisions. You remove the rush. You create space to think deeply. Consider your options and reflect on what truly matters. You stop reacting. You start responding. You become deliberate. This is where wisdom thrives. A calm mind can look at the bigger picture. It can consider long-term consequences, not just immediate satisfaction. It doesn't get caught up in temporary emotions. It sees beyond the moment. And that's how great decisions are made. By seeing the whole picture, not just the next step. People who act out of calmness often find that their decisions align with their goals, not just their impulses. They stop making choices based on fear, external pressure, or what others think. Instead, they act from a place of inner stability and clarity. They trust their judgment because it's been refined by stillness, not clouded by chaos. Psychology backs this up. When we're calm, we engage the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning, reasoning, and decision-making. Under stress, this part of the brain shuts down. Under calmness, it thrives. That's why decisions made in moments of peace are often the ones that lead to long-term success. A calm mind doesn't rush. It waits, it listens, and then it acts with purpose. And the more you make decisions from this place of calm, the more aligned your life will become with your true desires. You'll stop wasting energy on choices that don't serve you and start making decisions that move you forward with confidence. Every relationship you have is shaped by your response, not just your actions. How you react to others defines the dynamics. And in a world that thrives on quick reactions, emotional outbursts, and misunderstandings, calmness is the key that opens the door to healthier, more meaningful connections. When you stay calm, you bring stability to relationships. You stop escalating situations with anger or frustration. You don't react impulsively when things get tense. Instead, you pause, listen, and respond from a place of understanding. This is where true strength shows up in relationships. It's easy to get swept up in the drama, to argue, to defend, to fight for your point. But that doesn't solve anything. It just adds more noise. When you stay calm, you show emotional intelligence. You show that you can handle difficult situations without losing control. You show that your relationships matter more than your need to be right or heard. And when others see this, they feel safe. They trust you. They know that even in conflict, you will remain grounded, and that makes them feel secure. Calmness fosters compassion. When you're calm, you're better able to listen. You stop thinking about what you'll say next and start hearing what the other person is really saying. You empathize with their feelings and respond with patience and care rather than reacting out of hurt or frustration. This creates deeper, more authentic bonds. The more you practice calmness in relationships, the more you create an environment of trust and respect. You stop feeding negativity, and instead you build bridges. You become the steady presence that helps others feel seen and heard, rather than overwhelmed by the noise of the world. Psychologically, calmness in relationships reduces stress and promotes harmony. It lowers the emotional temperature, making room for better communication, understanding, and connection. And when you show calmness, you also teach others how to manage their own emotions. Leading by example in relationships, calmness isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, and it's the foundation of lasting, meaningful connections. Life is full of challenges. You will face obstacles that test your patience, your willpower, and your emotional strength. But here's the truth. Your ability to bounce back isn't determined by how much pain you face. It's determined by how calmly you handle the pain. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about how you respond when life knocks you down. It's about being able to stay centered even when everything feels like it's falling apart. And calmness is the secret ingredient to building that resilience. When you face adversity with calmness, your mind stays clear. You don't get swept up in fear or panic. You don't waste energy on worrying about things you can't control. Instead, you focus on what you can do. You plan, you act, and you adapt. In moments of hardship, the calm person doesn't crumble. They stand tall. They breathe. They take the next step. And when they fall, they rise again. Because they've learned that calmness doesn't just help them survive, it helps them thrive. Psychologically, calmness activates the brain's problem-solving centers. It helps you process information without becoming overwhelmed by emotion. It allows you to think strategically instead of emotionally. And the more you practice staying calm under pressure, the stronger your resilience becomes. It's easy to be resilient when life is easy. But it's the calmness you cultivate in difficult moments that builds your ability to bounce back every challenge you face. Is an opportunity to strengthen your emotional resilience, and calmness is the key to unlocking that strength. The world may throw storms your way, but if you remain calm, you'll weather them all. Resilience doesn't mean you never feel the weight of the world. It means you know how to carry that weight without breaking. And calmness is what makes sure you don't break. It makes you unshakable. It turns your struggles into stepping stones and your obstacles into opportunities. And with that resilience, you'll move through life with strength, confidence, and peace. You might think calmness is just a mental state, but in reality, it's a state that affects your entire body. When you are calm, your mind relaxes, but so does your body. Stress, anxiety, and worry trigger the body's fight-or-flight response, which over time can wear down your health. But calmness, on the other hand, promotes healing. Physiologically, calmness reduces the production of stress hormones like cortisol. It slows down your heart rate. It lowers your blood pressure. It helps you breathe deeply and evenly. And this in turn leads to improved overall health. When your body isn't in a constant state of fight or flight, it has the energy to heal, grow, and perform at its best. It can focus on maintaining balance, homeostasis, rather than reacting to every little stressor. This means better sleep, stronger immunity, more energy, and reduced chances of illness. The link between calmness and health is undeniable. Studies have shown that regular practices like deep breathing, mindfulness, and meditation can boost immune function, improve heart health, and even increase longevity. And the good news is calmness is available to everyone. It's not a skill reserved for a select few. You have the power to cultivate it anytime, anywhere. In today's fast-paced world, we're often told that success comes from doing more, being more, and rushing more. But the truth is, you don't have to burn out to succeed. You don't need to sacrifice your well-being for productivity. Instead, by staying calm, you give your body and mind the space they need to function at their best. By incorporating calmness into your life, you actually increase your chances of long-term success. Because when your body and mind are in balance, everything else follows suit. Your body becomes your ally, not your enemy. And your health becomes a foundation, not an afterthought. Calmness isn't just about peace of mind. It's about peace in your body. And with that peace, you will have the energy and vitality to achieve everything you set out to do. So, take care of your health with calmness and watch your life transform in ways you never imagined. Creativity isn't born from chaos. It doesn't emerge from a mind that's constantly rushing, stressing, or overwhelmed. Creativity thrives in calmness, in stillness, in space. It's the quiet moments where inspiration strikes. The moments when you give your mind room to wander without pressure, without judgment. When you are calm, your mind is free to make connections that it otherwise wouldn't. The stress and clutter fade away, and you can focus on the task at hand. In this mental clarity, new ideas emerge, innovative solutions appear, and you begin to see things from a different perspective. Calmness creates an environment where your mind can think outside the box. In today's world, we often believe that creativity requires a frantic rush of energy, endless effort, or a spark of intense emotion. But in reality, the most creative breakthroughs happen when we're calm enough to listen to our thoughts and follow the threads of inspiration without forcing them. Psychologically, Calmness enables the brain's default mode network to activate. This is the part of the brain that is responsible for creative thinking, problem solving, and connecting disparate ideas. When you're calm, this network works at its full potential. When you're stressed, it's like trying to operate a machine while it's overheating. JIT simply doesn't function properly. Creativity flows when you stop forcing it. It comes when you give yourself the space to reflect, explore, and let your ideas unfold naturally. That's why calmness is the fuel for innovation. It's the quiet that allows you to hear your best ideas, to experiment without fear of failure, and to think boldly without hesitation. Think about the most creative people you know. They're not running around frantically, jumping from task to task. They're thinking, they're reflecting, they're allowing their minds to wander and roam freely. That's the power of calmness and creativity. It's not a lack of energy, but a focused and controlled release of it. When you embrace calmness, you give yourself permission to think deeply, dream big, and create without boundaries. And in that space, your creativity will soar. Success isn't about how much you push. It isn't about working yourself to exhaustion or constantly fighting against obstacles. True success is about how well you navigate challenges with ease, how calmly you face adversity, and how clearly you stay on course when everything around you is in turmoil. The most successful people aren't necessarily the ones who work the hardest or fight the longest. They are the ones who understand the power of calmness. They know that success doesn't come from scrambling to make things happen. It comes from having the ability to stay composed, to think strategically, and to act decisively even when the pressure is high. Calmness gives you the mental clarity needed to make better decisions. It helps you avoid impulsive choices that might derail your progress. And in the face of uncertainty, calmness allows you to stay focused on the bigger picture rather than getting lost in small distractions or temporary setbacks. Psychologically, when you are calm, you tap into your best problem-solving abilities. Your cognitive functions operate at their peak, helping you process information faster and more accurately. Stress and anxiety, on the other hand, cloud your judgment and slow you down, making even the simplest tasks seem overwhelming. The calm person doesn't let failure define them. They don't panic when things go wrong. Instead, they take a step back, evaluate the situation, and adjust their approach. This ability to stay composed in the face of setbacks allows them to recover quickly and move forward with even greater momentum. Success is not about constantly chasing more, faster, or harder. It's about learning to move with purpose, to make decisions with clarity, and to persevere with patience. Calmness teaches you how to do this. It teaches you how to keep your emotions in check, to rise above the noise, and to stay focused on your goals. The more you embrace calmness, the more success will naturally flow into your life. Success doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you've cultivated the inner peace needed to handle life's challenges with grace and determination. And in that peace, your greatest achievements await. What does happiness really mean to you? Is it the fleeting moments of excitement, the rush of adrenaline, or the temporary highs of success? Or is it something deeper, something more consistent, more lasting? True happiness isn't found in external achievements or material gains. It's not found in the chaos of constant doing, running, or striving. Happiness is found in the stillness, It's found in the calmness you cultivate within yourself. When you are calm, you stop chasing happiness. You stop seeking it in external things, in people, or in circumstances. You realize that happiness doesn't need to be earned. It's always been within you, waiting to be uncovered in the quiet moments of life. Psychologically, calmness brings balance to the mind and body. It aligns your emotions, thoughts, and actions with your true desires, rather than with the external pressures or distractions of the world. In calmness, you learn to let go of the need for validation, success, and constant achievement. Instead, you embrace the beauty of the present moment. Calmness allows you to appreciate life for what it is, not for what you wish it to be. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop worrying about what might go wrong. You stop overthinking every decision. You simply live. And in that simplicity, you find peace. And that peace is the foundation of happiness. Happiness isn't about always being busy, always achieving, or always striving for the next goal. It's about being content with where you are, how you are, and who you are. And when you live with calmness, you're no longer ruled by stress, worry, or fear. You become aligned with yourself, grounded in the present, and open to the natural flow of joy. The path to true happiness is through calmness. It's through learning to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to let go of the unnecessary noise. When you make calmness a way of life, happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you embody. True happiness comes from within, and it starts with calmness. When you embrace that calmness, you will discover a deeper, more lasting sense of happiness than anything external could ever provide. And in that peace, you will find joy, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime.